of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy.
Wow.
It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
You make me laugh. Well, you make me laugh. You make me laugh. You make me laugh. All right. That's the show. I'm out. I got nothing. You got something? I got nothing. Oh, good morning, people of Earth. Halloween is over. Yay, can I get an amen on that? Halloween being over. Or, as the Red would say, can I get a... Well, we don't want to go there yet. Because YouTube says, try not to curse for the first 7 minutes or something. I don't know what that's all about, but fuck it anyway. Yeah, I can get a fuck yeah. Anyway, it's a new month. It is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, and Halloween is history. Now, if we could just get Christmas, well, I know we haven't even got to Thanksgiving yet, but we get Christmas and New Year's to be history, I will be feeling better. Generally, January 2nd, my spirits start to pick up. I can't put my coffee down, man. I can't put it down. We have April Brucker today. April is a comedian, ventriloquist, actress. She's been with me before on the evening show. She doesn't remember that. I remember it well. But she will be here 10:15 today, which is actually 7:15 for her. So she's doing a residency for forever in Vegas, right? And she's doing a show last night, and then she's gonna get up at 7:15 in the morning, get all dolled up the way women do, because you can't go on stage looking like a bum like me at 7:15 in the morning with puppets. Will be interesting to see where the energy is with that. Can you imagine getting up earlier than 7:15, being ready for a television show with a friggin' puppet or several puppets at 7:15 in the morning? I don't even like to look at 7:15 in the morning. You know what I'm doing at 7:15 in the morning? I'm hitting the snooze button again. I love that snooze button, I gotta tell you. Yesterday, I knew I was going to say shit that pissed people off, but I think I hurt Carl's feelings, and I don't ever want to hurt Carl's feelings because I like Carl. I love Carl. I think of Carl almost, and this is just fucking corny as hell, but I like a son to me. I mean, since my son passed, the closest relationship I have, father-son type of thing. Oh, he's gonna get all choked up like Jordan Peterson. But I did accuse Carl of sucking up to Billy Wayne Davis, and I do think that is slightly the case, even though that's probably not the best way to put it. Listen, I don't want to keep this fucking thing going because I had forgotten all about it, but Carl had a few drinks, and he let me know last night. And you know what? I don't want to hurt his feelings, and I don't think what he did is wrong. And listen, all of us can, and even Billy Wayne Davis, what he was doing with the bullying stuff, we can all fall into that trap. The issue was Billy was continuing to say that it was all about the font. It wasn't about the font. It was about the bullying. And he just kept adding on that by bullying more people and more people who went on to defend the original kid that was, or guy who was, who knows, who was getting bullied. They were getting bullied, and he just piling on that. And I don't like bullies. I got a problem with bullies. People probably, if they remember the clip that Davy Do did about my bullying stuff, that's kind of who I am. Don't like bullies. And I know Carl doesn't give a shit about social media bullshit, little tit for tat wars and all that kind of stuff that goes on social. I know he doesn't give a shit, and he was just making jokes that about the font shit. And Billy is a friend of his now. They are going to be working together probably sometime in the spring, and so he was just going along with that. But inadvertently, I think, giving Billy some support in his bullying. And again, I like Billy Wayne Davis. I don't think he likes me anymore. There was a point where I think he did. I mean, he did a show in Brooklyn, New York, where he did a show for 14 people, and I paid for 12 of them. I paid 12 admissions. There were 14 people in the club. So I think at that point, we kind of considered friendly. But there was a point about 6 months ago, 8 months ago or something, where he started ragging on boomers, and I started giving it back to him on Twitter about, ageism. And finally, he deleted all those posts. And believe me, I don't want to start shit with Billy Wayne Davis. I don't. It's just really, really hard for me to look at bullying. I'm going to play a clip right now, a really short clip. Before, by the way, Willie's probably still in bed. I think he hit the snooze button. But this is, in case you haven't seen it, this is the clip I was talking about that Davey Do shot me about bullying.
Matt was
That's right.
Matt was one of my first friends I ever had that I picked myself. Like that I got to pick to say, hey, I want this guy to be my friend, and we made friends kind of thing. Other than that, it was the neighborhood kids across the street. We were in kindergarten, and I got grandkids in first grade now, so it was little as, their size. We went through elementary school together, and then from 5th grade we moved to middle school. It's scary in middle school because you got kids coming from all the different elementary schools in our area, and they all meet in the middle school, and everybody's got to be tough. So me and Matt were in the gym. We had gym one day, and we're in gym, and we're getting ready to do something, and this guy from a different school, Duval Gardens, I think. His name was Michael Bates, and I guess he was trying to make his bones, but he gave Matt a shove or something like that. And friggin', oh my God, like the Hulk, here comes retard man. That's when the dog just sprung. He was like, "Brr!" And he grabbed him and lifted him and stuck him on the wall. And we were kids. Well, he still had the mustache. But, he slammed him to the wall and froze him up there. And all of a sudden, man, my chest popped out. I said, "Yeah!" I was like, "Yeah!" And then he put him down. And then he was just mad again.
And then he was mad again.
And then he lightly touched down.
They're definitely tapping that stool.
I knew it to stop.
All out of tune.
On the cheek board.
Anyway. That is get off of there. Get done. I just got breaking news that Danica has got COVID and has gone to the hospital with it. So Willie won't be joining us today. I don't expect. He said he will be joining us tomorrow. I don't expect that. If that's the case, if she's been hospitalized, I don't expect him, and I would be shocked if he did. We wish her well, obviously, and that's a concerning thing. Um, so yeah, bullying, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. I had forgotten about it until Carl had a few, and then went back and I guess watched the beginning of yesterday's program where I said I warned people I was going to say shit that was going to lose me some friends and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, here we are today. Let me remove this because I want to get rid of this fucking clip. I don't want it in the back end here. The world is getting saltier. What? What the fuck is that all about? Headline in today's Washington Post about salt. That the world is getting salty. The most boring but probably consequential environmental issue that we deal with, according to this article, is salt. And they want to say that road salt, the salt we put on roads, is the cause of it. Now, this confuses me because I'm under the impression that the salt we put on roads we got from the earth. We mined it. It doesn't just we didn't make it. We're not like making salt. It's not a road salt. We're digging it out of the earth and putting it on the earth. How is that contributing to environmental issues, looming disasters? There's also lots of other salts. I mean, salts in everything from soaps and everything we kind of make is kind of salty. I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not sure this is something to be concerned about. But there it is. It's in the press. So if it's in the press, it must be true. I don't know. Yeah, I'm no saltologist. I don't know about these things. Anyway, that's one thing that's in the news today. Now, today, uh, and in the chat room, I believe Mike Schiavola had already alluded to this. Let me see here. Sorry, I will be not watching today. I'll be watching Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. Well, they're not live, so you can always watch them on tape. But Dopey Rogan and Elon Musk are dropping a podcast they recorded yesterday in children's costumes, Halloween shit. I'm not big on Halloween and costumes. God, I'm clicking buttons and nothing's happening over here. But in this video, first of all, it's just ridiculous. Musk is talking about how all Twitter was a propaganda tool. Now, most of the world doesn't give a shit about Twitter and still doesn't. But to say it was a propaganda tool and he fixed it is just the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's become far more of a propaganda tool now that he has control over it than it ever was. Before, it was a lot of pop culture. There were a lot of politics, yes, arguing back and forth, but it wasn't necessarily one-sided at all. Now it's completely one-sided nonsense. And or a lot of the pop culture stuff has gone away, and it's become, well, at least for me, and I blocked almost everybody who's talking politics on there because I'm more interested in comedians, excuse me, musicians, not so much film shit. I don't give a shit about films. I really don't. Uh, and oddly enough, because I want to make a film, but I don't give a shit about films. But you can't get away from it. And the way the algorithm works now, Elon Musk has 160 million followers, and it's based on engagement. So every time your stuff goes out there, it not only amplifies your content, but also the followers, the people you interact with, or people who interact with your content. So all of his followers are getting amplified, and all of his followers are of a certain mindset. One of the things, the pre-clip, it's like pre-cum, but pre-clip, for the podcast today, they're going to say, and Musk and Rogan both repeat this, and to me, it's total misinformation, is that COVID didn't kill people. The ventilators killed people. It wasn't the disease that killed people. It was the ventilators that were trying to save lives that killed people. The cure is worse than the disease, according to Elon Musk, which is just absurd. Listen, I have a good friend who was lucky enough to get a ventilator brought to his house because he's in the healthcare industry. It saved his life. It absolutely saved his life. This idea that ventilators are what was killing people and not the disease is just absurd. Anyway, you can talk amongst yourselves or talk to me about that if you want. Let's bring in GD and welcome him in. Good morning, GD. You're still here. I thought you were retiring yesterday.
Well, I talked to HR and they were giving me another chance. They were asking me to retire, but HR
Haldeman? HR Haldeman?
Yeah, that's the one. And Puff and stuff.
You were Albert Brooks fan?
Yes.
It was a documentary coming out. Rob Reiner, who was one of the most hated people in the Trump world,
Right.
Meathead from All in the Family, and a good friend of Albert Brooks, has done a documentary called Defending Your Life, Defending Albert Brooks' life, and it's coming out November 11th.
That was a good movie.
That he stole it from that movie, but it's not that. It's not that movie. It's a documentary covering Albert Brooks' total career. The whole gamut of his career. And I've seen the trailers. I'm really excited about because I love Albert Brooks.
Yeah, I think he's so underrated as a comedian, or at least as a comic writer in movies. I think some of the stuff he's written is so funny, and it's so funny that you like it. It's the kind of funny that you have to be knowledgeable to really appreciate it.
Yeah. I think the documentary might change your mind about the overrated and underratedness because every comedian is in it raving about him, and a couple of them call him the funniest man who has ever lived, and things like that. So
I'd put him fourth after me, but yeah, he's really good.
Then you'd have Albert Brooks. I don't know, either George Carlin and Richard Pryor tied for second, and then Tom Segura, and then you.
I thank you.
Here's the thing where I was getting to though. About a year and a half ago, I wrote Albert Brooks a letter asking him to be on the program. And I got that fucking balls up my ass. But
in a good way.
Yes. Well, I don't think you could do it in a bad way, right? Anyway, there's nothing wrong with that, as Seinfeld would say. Not expecting any kind of response, but I got a response, and the response was he just got off of promoting his book, and he had nothing to promote or talk about right now. But when he does, he would be happy to come on.
All right.
So I'm gonna write him back to. I'm not hard. It's like my congressional thing. I don't think there's a chance in hell I might really get Albert Brooks, but I would love to. I mean, that would be. Robert Klein was a highlight of my life. Albert Brooks would be a fucking cherry on whatever.
Yeah, I would. Albert Brooks, that would be like pretty close. I would be pretty close to gushing. I don't gush over people generally, but when somebody does something that I like really, really appreciate, I mean, just the artistry, I come really close to gushing. I don't gush easily.
Yeah.
Or is it gush or squirt? But
yeah, you remember when he was the first set? Are you old enough? You are old enough. Saturday Night Live, the first season, he was doing films for that. So it was an hour and a half then. It wasn't an hour, and there were short films by Albert Brooks in every episode in the first season, and they were fucking killer. They were great stuff.
Yeah.
And he used to try stuff on television that he had not tried out before. Which is ballsy, like going on the Tonight Show with a bit he had not tested on anyone before.
Yeah,
and it always worked. So
because you can trust your gut sometimes. I mean, I think that he's just one of those people who's just comedic genius.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say underrated is because I don't think people know him as that. You know, other comedians who are like in the field will go like, yeah, he's good. He's
I'm
really
wondering
good.
if people 40 and under have any appreciation of him all. Because when was the last time he did anything like really significant that was like in the mainstream, like a movie or something? Well, it's got to be 20 years at
Yeah,
least,
at
right?
least because broadcast news. I don't know how much of that is him, but that was really good
Yeah, he
also.
did have some bit parts in movies. Like he's in Private Benjamin. I think he's in the first half hour of Private Benjamin. He's Goldie Hawn's husband in the beginning
Right.
of that. But that was nothing. But he did a lot of those kind of roles. Just I don't know. I guess he just took them for the money.
I just I want to bring up something about that little mini Mind Dog documentary.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You'd mentioned something about the guitar being out of tune. Now I have one guitar that I faithfully use for live performances because it does not go out of tune. Once it's at temperature. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Like I take it from the car to where I'm performing, and once I get there, I let it get to room temperature and I tune it, and I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Well, so I get to this one. I'm doing a live performance, I'm doing a song parody, and I tune my guitar. You know, I get there early. Let the guitar get to room temperature. I tune it, and then I set it down next to a space heater and don't realize it.
Ooh.
and
Did
then
the neck warp?
no, but the strings got really, and I didn't realize it. I picked up the guitar. I was like, okay, you're on. I pick up the guitar and I'm putting it on, and I said, it feels kind of warm. And then I played the first chord, which is supposed to be an E chord, and it wasn't an E chord, but the guitar was just gotten out of tune enough that it was the most beautiful chord I'd ever heard. But it wasn't an E chord. And because I was performing, I didn't have a chance to like record it, so I could try to recreate that chord because I wanted to use it in a song. But I was trying to sing a song, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so I said to the audience, I got through like a whole verse, and I said, I'm sorry, this is really bothering me. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but this is really out of tune. So I'm going to tune my guitar while I talk to you. And so I vamped and tuned the guitar.
That's a skill in itself. I can't do that. Talk and tune the guitar.
Well,
At the same
and then I said to the audience, I said, here's the deal. I'm going to start this and do the whole song the right way. You're going to hear the first verse again, and you're going to laugh at the same places you laughed before, as if you'd never heard it. And so they did. They laughed.
Wow.
At the same places, and one, but it was just. But I never found that chord again, and I really liked that chord.
It was the E major 9 is what it was.
No, because I've used E major 9s in other songs. It wasn't that. I like that chord. That is a nice chord, but it wasn't that because everything's just a little bit like semi-demitones. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like a 440A in that chord. It may have been like a 437 and a half. You know what I'm
Have
saying?
you ever played in 442? That
not on purpose.
Because you know about that big movement. There's a whole controversy of people who are going back to 442. 442 was the original European, back in Mozart days. That's classical tuning to 442. 440 only became standard in the 20th century, early part of the 20th century. So these people are going back to 442, claim. And Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad was on. He's one of these guys, and he thinks it's got magical powers. It's spiritual.
No, it's just different. It just stretches your ear. It stretches your ear, which stretches your mind. It's not magical. It just stretches. You get the same effect if you listen to Indian music, which doesn't use our scales at all.
Right.
The same effect. No,
I don't think it's any different at all. It's just relative tuning. I probably like you said, not intentionally. I've probably been in 442 at some point by accident, or close enough to it. I'm sure I was not in 440, but relatively tuned. And many times in my life before we had tuners. That's the way you would do it. You just go by, is it relatively in tune? Okay, yes, it is, and nobody knew if they were in 440 or not, unless you had a scope.
My former bass player, we're still good friends. He was the guy that played bass in the
I
video
hate
that
him.
you like, that video that you like so much, Monster
I
Mash.
hate him. I hate everything about that video. I hate everything about that song. I hate everything about everybody who was in that video. I hate every image in that video. Okay.
So he and I wrote a musical together, and there was one song I'd written, and I called him on the phone, and I started playing it on the piano or keyboard. Sorry, on the keyboard, and I'm playing the song for him, and he had never heard the song before, and he goes, "Your keyboard's out of tune." I said, "What are you talking about? It's a keyboard." He goes, "That's out of tune. He says, check it. I think your A is like at like 4." And he literally said something like 438. And I'm like, right, okay. And so I'm saying, it's a keyboard. You can't tune it. And he goes, "No, look in the back. You'll see like a little hole with the little, and there's a recessed hole with the top." I go in there and say, "Oh my God, you're right." So I got a diddle stick, and I went in there and I tuned it to 440. Well, first I checked it, and it was 438, like he said. And he did this over the phone through a song. I'm playing a song, and he's telling me how bad my keyboard is and what's wrong with it. Wow. And then he always claims that I don't have perfect pitch. I have perfect relative pitch. But he had nothing relative to compare it to. I just started playing.
Right.
Yeah. Say.
Yeah. I guess you're not familiar with Rick Beato's son Dylan. That a video that went viral about maybe 10 years ago now. Kid was 3 years old, and father playing piano behind him, and like all these complex jazz chords, and Dylan was calling out every tone in the chord, like E flat major 7 with a sharp 5 on top of it, and he would go through every note and get everything right with his back turned to super perfect pitch. And what Beato attributes that to was playing like heavy jazz music for the kid while he was in the womb.
Of course, because when you do that, you also learn what the things are called. It's different than learning the pitch. I mean, it could be. I don't know enough about pregnancy. You know, the one time I was pregnant, I ain't carried the term. I carried it to the restroom. It turns out it was just gas. So I don't have enough, you know. But the salt thing you mentioned.
Yeah. Salt.
Okay.
The world's getting saltier.
Yeah. Well, part of that may be the runoff, because the salt that's in the ground is not part of the ecosystem, or at least the waterways. So we dig it out of the ground, and it's no longer in the ground. It's on top, and then it becomes part of the runoff.
Sure. I get that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That could be.
I mean, that's what I think with the droughts in California, aside from the fact that they start when they divided up the Colorado River, they were basing it on more water than they were ever going to have. You know, that was the first flaw. The second flaw is once California starts using the water to grow fruit, they're bringing the water in, but then they're sending the energy out as fruit.
Right.
You know, they're disrupting their ecosystem. They're like, yeah, we're going to take. Usually, what happens is a tree takes sucking water. It takes the water, grows the fruit. It drops down there, and it doesn't send it thousands of miles away. You know, so we're screwing ourselves in so many ways.
There's no doubt in my mind that every time we try to do something, we're going to have an effect. There's a negative effect. There's positive effects, but there's negative effects, consequences to everything we do. It's just like, you know, a sci-fi movie gone wrong. Everything that we try to do, the honeybees and African bees, all that kind of stuff. Everything we do has some effect. But we just don't care enough about, you know, dealing with it after the fact.
But the good thing about the African bees and the honeybees is now the honeybees have incredible rhythm now, and you watch it, and when they do their little dance to give directions to what honey is. Yeah, they got it. It's incredible.
That really stings. Tomorrow.
Well, that's the buzz.
My calendar just came up with tomorrow is the Day of the Dead. What is that? You being or you knowing a minister?
That's a hallmark. That's another hallmark holiday. It starts. I mean, November 1st is supposed to be All Saints Day,
right?
And actually, technically, Halloween was being celebrated as All Saints Day, but because they recognized it at sundown the day before, it became, you know how they do holidays. They started sundown the day before the actual day. You know.
Interesting. I don't even, Day of the Dead. I would like what
Yeah,
the.
it's just for people who it's for the people who weren't sober after November 1st's All Saints Day celebration. They're like, we need another day.
It
Okay.
says it's not a nationwide holiday. It may not be observed in your region.
Right.
I never heard of it before.
Yeah, but I think if you go to some cultures like me, in South America, there's let me see. I'm familiar with the Day of the Dead holiday, but only because of not from celebrating it, but from people talking about it like this. You know.
Right. Now, tomorrow we have an add-on guest. It was going to be a long day anyway. We're going to do an hour, and then Joe Pontillo was going to be on at 10:15. He still is, and then Steve Stolia at 11:15. At somewhere near 11 o'clock last night, Sticks and Stones Comedy Club got in touch with me. They're having a show that this weekend they want me to promote. Vanessa Hollingshead. Now, and then Vanessa was going back and forth with me about how and when time, whether it was Wednesday or Thursday, blah, 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 blah. She is very accomplished. People like Jerry Seinfeld are raving about her. She's been around for a long time, done many films, but I would say she's crazy, even in comparison to comedian crazy. Like, even among comedians, I think she might be. And I don't know this. I haven't met her, but just from my going back and forth with her for like 25 emails to say how to connect to this show and getting the time straight. I'm only available Thursday because originally I told her Wednesday morning had an opportunity in this spot, or Thursday, and then she said I'm only available Thursday. Okay, the only spot open Thursday is 9:15. Okay, which day, Wednesday or Thursday? I just said you're only, and just going back and forth with that, and I'm like, wow, she's totally fucking nuts.
The funniest thing about dealing with comedians, and I'm sure you even probably know this probably 1,000 times more than I do, because you deal with them many in that regard. Like, you do a show, you put out a flyer, and they'll call you and say, what time you want me to be there? I said, oh, when's the show again? I said, did you read the flyer with your name and picture on it? I said, it says right in the flyer the time. And then I sent out an email what comic call is, and they'll go like, that was you? I was like, how many GD Fendersons send you emails telling you when to show up? Is there like a conglomerate of, a franchise, a GD Fenderson? Actually, there's a GD Fenderson franchise, but is there like a conglomerate, a bunch of people emailing you, telling you about the show? Comedians are some of the most, I think some of them are stupid, out of need for attention.
Yeah.
Well, so they can trap you explaining shit to them, and they're getting attention. And that's what I think some of it is.
Here's an interesting fact about her, more than interesting to me. Her father,
yes,
it gave Timothy Leary his first hit of LSD.
Yeah,
and she grew up around people who are adults who are all on fucking acid and mushrooms and totally tripping out. I can't imagine that, being a child around adults who were all tripping out in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I almost want to bone up on my electrocuted acid test to because it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest based on that somehow related.
No,
to that?
Ken Kesey kind of he was part of the Merry Prank. He was formed the Merry Pranksters. He was part of that acid test. He wrote that, but it wasn't based on any of it.
Right. Okay, I knew there was a connection. It's just been so long since I've had to even think about it in that regard.
Yeah.
I told my wife that you have like a knowledge of movies that I don't give a shit about that really impresses me. It's like, I mean, we both see the same movie, and I'll go like, didn't it have like something to do with something? And you'll know what the something
to do with something.
Right.
Yeah.
And but
there was somebody in it. Wasn't there somebody in it? That was definitely somebody in it.
Right. And you would know what the somebodies and the somethings are, and I would just know that there's some kind of transcendental relationship.
Didn't somebody write that?
Exactly. I said, did they have a writer, or
Yeah.
did they use words like adjectives and nouns and stuff,
Right.
and some of the same words that they used in another movie?
That's true. Maybe I should run a commercial now before April gets. We have plenty of time before she gets here, but I should get the commercial out of the way. I have not produced the new Naked Wines commercial yet.
That was my next question.
We're still gonna have Willie with the sibilance. Which, by the way, I took my sibilance talk all the way to the BA yesterday, and I could not lose the spit in my mouth, which I'm really sorry about. Anyway,
you may have to do your Godfather impersonation and stick cotton in there to get rid of the excess juice.
yes. So Naked Wines, get your Naked Wines. Get naked, get some wine. Let Willie get you all juiced up. If you Kelly, you're probably already excited for the juice in a bottle.
Welcome to a better way to buy wine. NakedWines.com is a customer-funded wine business. We don't just sell wines, we make them happen. Since launching in the UK in 2008, Angels have helped us invest in over 159 independent winemakers in 14 different countries. Turns out, it's better business for everyone. Our winemakers get to sell all of their wines and make a living. We make the same margins as everyone else and have a lot of fun along the way. And as a wine drinker, for the $40 a month you probably would have spent on wine anyway, you'll get wholesale prices. You can be sure that all of our wines have been lovingly made by a talented winemaker and stripped of all the costs that add nothing to the flavor or quality of the juice in the bottle. Support independent winemakers. Get better wine in return. With the support of 300,000 wine drinkers, we fund talented independent winemakers up front. This way, they get to spend all of their attention on making you the best wine possible. World-class wine, direct from talented independent winemakers. A better deal, up to 60% off market prices. A better way to discover tasty new favorites with over 2 million reviews from wine drinkers like you. Become an angel today. Get started by visiting minddogtv.com and click the banner on the homepage now.
Just get it started, all right? Drink your sip up. Sip that wine.
That commercial gets me remembering they used to have these things like the way they do things in Hollywood, like they pour the wine like this or pour something so that you could see the label. So they wouldn't do it like a natural way. So it's like they'd hold it. But in this case, I guess it's because it's wine and they don't want to get it warm here and cold here.
I was trying to, because the footage, I created that, and I was looking for stock footage that purposely did not show the label.
Oh, okay.
About the sibilance, though. Last thing about this. First of all, excuse me. When I, because Willie records that stuff into his phone like this, and basically I got to do a lot of processing to make it clean it up. I did put I did 2 de-essers on it. And the other part that is worth mentioning is because Bert Kreischer says that all the time. Tom Segura's best friend, Bert Kreischer, has a big everything. He's got kind of a husky voice, but everything talk. It's because he's half drunk most of the time. But he does a lot of that spitting while he's talking stuff.
I think they should have a day like for that, just like they have a day for a Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Talk like a sibilance day. It's
Yeah,
Saturday. It's sibilance Saturday.
Yeah, they should have a day of the year when you can do that, just like you can do Talk Like a Pirate. That kind of thing. Just like, excuse me, sir.
Adam Brennan, Kevin Brennan. Do you know that name? Comedian Kevin Brennan.
No, is he related to the other Brennan?
He is related to the other Brennan. I don't know how, but that came up. Maybe brother. Um, I don't really know anything about him either. He sounds a little. I say I'm in trouble. He sounds gay. It
Okay.
sounds he's either a very effeminate male or just flat out gay.
You mean his voice or his material?
The way his voice, his manner of speaking.
Okay.
But so I came across this clip last night. Dave Landau, who was on this program, who Evil Ian hates for some reason. Evil's not a fan of Dave Landau. But I like Dave Landau. I think he's a good guy. He was on the program, but mild mannered, like the kind of guy who you would say never would be looking for a fight. But I came across a clip last night on YouTube. Jim and Sam in the morning over on Sirius XM. Jimmy, what the fuck is Jimmy's last name? I can't think. Norton, Jim Norton, on their show, and Kevin Brennan got there first. The two guests were, and it was supposed to be Dave Landau and Anthony Cumia, but Cumia didn't show up or wasn't allowed in the building, so it was Dave Landau and Kevin Brennan. Kevin Brennan got there first, and he was bad mouthing Cumia, was bad mouthing Landau, was bad mouthing everybody. And then when Dave Landau got there, he wasn't having any of it and was starting a big fight over it in the studio, and it was super entertaining to watch. What I'm getting at here now, because Dave Landau does seem like he's a little guy, and you would never expect him to be actually almost getting in a fist fight and saying, "I'll fuck your daughter right in front of you," kind of shit. It was really nasty. But then there were callers calling in the clip saying how great radio that was, and I'm thinking, well, do we need to do that? Do I need to get Willie and GD in a fist fight in the show? Do I need to do we need to fake this to get some some attention on the show? Does that work?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
After he said, "I will screw your daughter in front of you, make you watch," or whatever, did Ethan Hawke say something like, "How do I book that guy?"
I would like to film that.
Yeah, can I get that on film?
No, it was I'll jump across the desk and punch your lights out, and they had to get in between. It sounded like there were fisticuffs about to happen. And they had to be restrained, or the police were going to get called, and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty compelling, I have to say. But all this kind of stuff got born out of 1980s television. Jerry Springer and Morton Downey Jr. That whole conflict makes for good entertainment. How much of that can you take? I know, because I was thinking about it yesterday that I've never been a big Stern fan, but the people who are big Stern fans, the thing they love the most is the clips of the infighting on the show.
Yeah,
I think we need to do that. We need to kind of just like hate each other, and then
I can't do that unless you're willing to like just never see me again. Because that's the reason why I don't do. The reason why I don't do roast battles is because I subconsciously pick up on the soft underbelly of people, and I will inadvertently just go for it for the laugh. But meanwhile, I have stirred up emotions from like pre-birth, and I just hurt.
Well, they did that. They did that, but somehow in the end, they managed to get back to having a civil conversation after a half. I listened. It's a 37-minute clip, and I listened to about 30 minutes of it. But I listened to it until the fighting was over, which is kind of indicative of fighting. That kind of bullshit does work to kind of hold people's attention or get people listening. But yeah, I hear what you're saying about picking at scabs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they were doing that. They were both doing it. Like he called his wife fat and ugly, and it was just really fucking personal and brutal. Evil says Kevin Brennan is the older brother of Neil.
Yeah,
he seems gayer than Neil.
Well, it's because he's got more years.
I know that Neil was a co-writer of the co-founder of the Chappelle Show and the head writer or something like that, right? And Neil Brennan has a really cool podcast. I love listening to his whenever I
Yeah,
have the time.
I think Neil Brennan is smart and funny.
Yeah.
Not Albert Brooks smart and funny, but he's good.
Yeah. What else is even saying? What is Matt Napo, Anthony Cumia? They all think. No, I don't think they think. He said for the question for the people on the radio. I'm sorry to butcher this. He says, "What does Matt Napo, Anthony Cumia, and Steven Crowder have in common? They all think Dave Landau is hilarious." I don't.
See, he doesn't say Dave Landau. I think he's talking about Martin Landau.
No, no, Dave Landau. Dave Landau, I do think his stand-up is very funny. I do think his stand, but I don't think Crowder thinks Landau, I don't think Cumia does. Those guys are both super far right wing, and I don't think they are very. I don't, I know people think Anthony Cumia is funny. I've never seen him say or do anything that was really funny, but I don't think they even know Landau stand-up. I don't think they know it at all. I don't think they've seen it because they assume he's a right winger, and I think he plays that up to. That's probably something that really pisses Ian off too. Is that he does seem to be sucking up, and if they're going to write a check, he'll be far right wing.
Yeah,
he'll be whatever you want him to be if the check is good enough. I think there's that. But listen, the prostitution is a very old thing, and I think we all have our price.
The oldest profession.
I think we all have our price. Now, is there a price that people could pay you to be the right wing black guy on Fox News?
I don't know the answer to that because I have a wife who would divorce me as soon as no matter what the price is.
But you could buy a new wife. Let's listen.
Yeah, but I like the one I have. I like the wife I have.
But if you had it's sky's the limit. If it were $10 billion, she would be happy. That you're fake, like you're going on there and you're just saying, like, I'm not this guy, and it's just an act. But for a short period of time, let's cash in. No, she wouldn't go along with you.
I don't think. No, my wife and I both have walked away from money, not ridiculous sums of money like that, but we both walked away from money on principle. But the most money I've ever walked away from on principle was $43,000 and $43,500. Wow. That was the most I've ever walked away from on principle.
$204,000 for me.
Okay,
and I just walked out the door.
Yeah, I have principles. I don't know if I have $1 million worth of principle. I think I would find a way to do it and make them, because for some reason I think I'm smart enough that I could convince them that I'm saying right-wing talking points, and once they look at it and replay, they go like, wait a second, he called us all assholes. Right. But he did it in such a smart way.
All right. Now, before let's shift here into politics, because I want to talk to you about this.
Sure.
Today in New York State Court, Donald Trump Jr. is testifying in the fraud case. Tomorrow, Eric Trump is testifying in the same case. On Friday, Ivanka Trump is testifying in the case, and on Monday,
we didn't reschedule her till later in the month.
What? No. Friday.
We scheduled her.
Friday.
Oh, okay.
And then the Papa Bear is scheduled for Monday.
Trump-vember. I call this Trump-vember.
Yeah. First of all, do you think Trump is going to throw his own kids under the bus?
He already has the bus and it's running. The only thing that hasn't been decided is with the order in which they get put under there, because he still has a physical thing for Ivanka, and I think that would hurt him more to put her under the bus. But I don't think he'd hesitate to put any of those kids under the bus. Like I said, the bus is already running.
Yeah. It'd be interesting because I know Eric lied in his deposition big time. I mean, they played the tapes of the deposition, and he's just lying like.
Yeah. I don't recognize this stuff. Is this our company logo? This doesn't look right.
Yeah. I never heard of the people who actually run the company that I'm supposed to be in charge of. I don't know any of these people.
Is that my picture with the CEO?
Yeah.
Alan White, Alan Wissenhu,
Yeah.
Alan. I don't know.
Now, the other part of that is Trump is saying that last night, leave my kids alone, leave them out of this. First of all, you appointed, when you got elected, he came out and said, I'm putting these guys in trust of my company, and I'm not going to touch it at all. So you put it on them when you did that.
Right.
And then you appointed your daughter to a White House position without, that whole. So you can't, at that point, you cannot say, well, leave my kids out of this. You're the one who brought your kids into this.
Yeah. He made them evidence and witnesses.
It's bizarre, but I'm just curious how long before he says, I never even met these kids. I don't know. I don't even know them. They're not even my kids.
I have one kid, Tiffany, maybe Barron. I have Barron and Tiffany, and I love them very much.
I hear he doesn't like Barron because Barron's following him.
But it's weird that he named him after an imaginary character. He named his son Barron after John Barron,
which
who he was, his imaginary what's it, MC, not MC, PR guy. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It is so fucking bizarre how the cult just keeps digging deeper, and the more trouble and the more he's exposed is just a total phony fat bag of wind, the more they love him.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Now I kind of understand the team politics that go into it. In other words, I understand that if you hate Democrats, if you hate the Democrats so much, you're going to go with your best chance to win in the Republican on the Republican side, and they believe that he's their best chance to win. I still don't think that. I think if they ran any sane person who hasn't got a history of like he's got, they beat Biden pretty easily.
Yeah. Now, I mean, back in the day, what's the former Ohio governor? Was it Kasich? Yeah, Kasich.
Yeah.
He used to scare me because he came off reasonable. You know, those are the ones that used to scare me. The ones that came off reasonable. But the ones
I think he actually is. I think.
But I'm just saying. But he's still a right winger. But now he seems very.
He's old school right wing.
Yeah, he's old school. He's like your grandfather's Republican, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
And those are the people I thought would be scary enough that not scary. When I say scary, I mean like could beat a decent Democrat in a real election.
I like John Kasich because I do think he's willing to listen to and have an open and honest conversation about issues and not necessarily be tied into ideology, which is why they hate him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely liked him. Yeah, so it's really they're still saying Trump is going to be the nominee, but he already lost his first test case in the ballot stuff. Colorado, he's not going to be on the ballot in Colorado.
When did they announce that? Because I was waiting for that because that was still going on yesterday. They announced it yesterday.
Well, it already passed the first test. They're appealing it.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought. All right, yeah.
Last week they announced that Colorado upheld the decision, but now he's appealing it.
Okay, so that's how I thought the appeal came down. I was like, what did you? Okay.
No. So but there are, I think, 15 more states that are following suit on that. If you're not on the ballot, there's no way you can. Who knows? And
but if he's not on ballot on states, he's not going to win anyway. It may not make since this is electoral college and not popular vote.
Who knows where we're headed, man? This is why I say, because I would have never said this 6 months ago, but I think RFQ has got a halfway decent chance of he has the same fighter's chance that I have in the congressional race that I'm going to be in.
I think you have a better chance only because, as long as Santos is in the race, you have a better chance.
Right.
If Santos is removed from the race, then I'd have to actually come up there and campaign for you to get you over the thing. And I'm trying real hard not to have to come up to New York to
You
campaign.
know, yeah. Um, well, here's my campaign, my team. I got
The dreaded guy and one nut.
an ex-convict who went to jail for holding up a flower shop. My brain trust. So yeah,
The bouquet bandit and the dreaded guy.
and oddly enough, I'd rather you look at their record than mine. So there's that. What else did we talk about here before? April. Have you looked into April at all? April Brucker?
I didn't look into her because I've worked with her on a couple of virtual shows.
Really?
Like 3 or 4, I think maybe 3 or 4 times. And if I didn't work with her, I was watching the show because I work with the person who produced that show. There's a show called Comics on Life, and I think I've done like 6 episodes with them or something like that. And I've seen her or performed with her on a number of them.
Wow.
So like maybe I performed with her, like maybe I sang that with it was like a talk show, and so she was on there, part of the banter. I think I've seen her like 3 or 4 times.
Wow. Are you following baseball at all? The World Series?
No, I know that 2 people from Texas are hurt. I know they're in the series. They're winning the series 3-1 over the Diamondbacks, and they won 11-7 yesterday.
Yeah. Now I did, because this morning on Twitter, DeGrom was trending, and then it's not trending, and I'm wondering, is he one of the guys who got hurt? I would assume he would, because he seemed to be very fragile, and that's why the Mets didn't sign him again. You don't know?
I think the secret to being in the World Series is be on the Mets and then be kicked off for the Mets, and then you'll be in the World Series the next year. I think that's the secret, because I think every team in the playoffs had former Mets players.
Here it is, DeGrom trending. It's finally back now. Doesn't say why he's trending. Fake Mets fans are rooting for the Rangers because of DeGrom or Scherzer. Real Mets fans are rooting for the Rangers for him. I don't know. So maybe DeGrom wasn't the one that got hurt.
Yeah, I couldn't do I don't know the names. I just know there's 2 Texas Rangers that are like out for the rest of the series, and I didn't get their names. I saw their faces, but I couldn't pick them out of a lineup.
Yeah. I don't know why he's even trending. There's like no news about it. I hate that.
The trending could be like maybe people are saying who's, and that's it, and then it becomes a trend. Like everybody's just saying who's.
Right. Now let's move to the big topic of the day. Shall we move to the big topic?
So the rest of the birthday gift came? Is that what the big topic is? The rest of your wife's birthday gift?
Oh no.
Oh.
No, that's not coming for a while, probably.
So
I screwed up with that. I ordered it from Walmart just in case anybody's interested. When you order shit online, if you order one thing that's coming by a certain date, that doesn't mean everything you order is coming by a certain date, because they come from separate suppliers. Right. So I was under the impression that the entire thing was going to be here by October 29th. It wasn't. The first item only was coming by October 29th. So the other
I think they kept you in the dark so that you would just keep the order. I think if they told you that the whole thing wasn't going to be there,
exactly,
you would have canceled your order.
No doubt about it. I would have tried to replace the second item with something that would have been there.
And they don't want you to do that. They want to keep you on the hook while you get. That's why I don't like to buy things online. I like to see. I like to, even if I'm saving a few bucks, I still would rather pay the extra bucks and keep the mom and pop stores. The mom and pop stores like Target. The small companies like Target.
There's no business. There are no mom and pop stores left where I am.
There was. I used to, back when I used to buy Christmas gifts for the family, I used to make sure that 20% of my money went to local mom and pop stores. Well, they were like art galleries and stuff like that. So I'd go in, buy like T-shirts, mugs, stuff like that. The Floral Bandit.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
got
Willie?
no. Oh yeah, the Floral Bandit, Carnation Conway.
Yeah. See, I called him the Bouquet
What the?
Bandit.
Oh yeah. He's spinning. He's
Yeah.
spinning. We'll see when he.
That could be COVID. That could be COVID. He may have come down with COVID. That's why he's spinning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
have you been tested? Because we don't want to get infected.
Yeah, if I get you infected from here, I think I'll be rich.
Look, you got 5 women pregnant with 1 nut. I'm not putting anything
Hey,
past your
yeah.
capacity.
You know what? That is interesting that you say that. Like back in the day, back before I went to prison, I used to do a joke that any women ovulating in the first 2 rows needed to move back. Like I don't want to take any chances.
Wait, there were women when
Yeah.
it came to your shows.
Yeah,
Women-
well, because Nitwits had an established audience all of its own. Like really. And a lot of regulars and stuff like that. That was a good thing about working for Nitwits is it got you experience in like a full room, like that room was full a lot. Like a lot. I have no idea why they went out of business. They went out of business while I was in prison, so I don't really know what happened. They went out of business, and then like a Fat Daddy comedy club started and closed, and then there was this place called Wacko's that started and closed, and then.
Yeah, but have you been tested? Because you're talking and you're spreading germs while you're talking. Just yes or no. So we know. Yes.
I have not been tested yet. I'll go today. I'll go to Walgreens today.
How was you?
Give it to him.
In all seriousness, how's Danica? She's okay?
I mean, she's not happy. She's a little miserable from being sick.
But she's not in the hospital, right? Or
no, she's not in the hospital.
Who told me
and
she was in the hospital?
She's
I think I wrote
functioning
that.
all right.
I thought it was my fault. I thought she was in the hospital for a night or 2. Probably.
No, we took her to acute care and they diagnosed her and stuff. And then we got like this package of all this different stuff that she has to take over the next few days.
That's odd to me. Out there in the great expanse of New Mexico, where I don't know, you're out in the open there, that COVID is catchable out there. I mean, there's so much
dude,
air.
You know what? My wife said something to me that fucking floored me. She said to me, she goes, I know exactly what customer I got it from. Because she's a waitress. She does waitressing.
Right.
And she's like, I know exactly what customer I got it from. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I guess she had a table. Huh?
He or she should be banned from the. I hope they put up if she's sure about that, like make sure this fucker doesn't come back in the place until he's tested negative.
Well, so this is something that really kind of upsets me. Listen, if you have COVID, like be respectful to other people and take the proper precautions. You know what I mean? Like, and so she had a customer that I guess like had a table that like literally just got diagnosed, and the first thing they do is go to a fucking restaurant. Are you fucking kidding me?
Holy,
you know what I mean? Like that's fucking the craziest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life.
Whipped, tarred, and wet feathered should be the appropriate response to that.
When I got it, I was being a little bit cocky because this is back when people you could only tour the places that hadn't shut down, which meant there was no mask, no vaccine. You know what I'm saying? Like Georgia, places that said like we ain't taking no mandate. So I was performing in a place full of first responders, and I just knew I was going to be safe there. And it was like, no, they were like, I was like, oh shit, I'm dead. I'm dead.
When you say cocky, do you mean shooting cum out of your head?
Yes, exactly. That is because that's part of my act.
I know.
Which is why the white stuff doesn't come out very easily.
We used to do a thing. We used to do a thing called the white stuff. The white stuff.
Was that like a New Kids on the Block reference?
No,
the white stuff.
Yeah. It was. We were doing that, but because I think we were watching the movie The Right Stuff, but we had like a plate of cocaine out. So
is that are you talking about the Tom Cruise movie, The Right Stuff?
No, Tom Cruise wasn't in that.
What? Oh no. What's that one where he's in the t-shirt and the socks? Is that Risky Business? The right. What's the right? Is that Michael J. Fox?
No, the right
Yeah,
stuff.
Michael
None
J.
of those
Fox was
guys.
an astronaut. He was an astronaut. And they said,
It's
"I'm
about
straighting up." He goes,
the Apollo missions, and I can't even.
yeah.
Ed Harris.
What's all
is
the
in
right
there.
moves? There's a movie, All the Right Moves.
Oh, right.
Is that Tom Cruise?
That is Tom Cruise.
Okay, all right. I knew
We're
I
all
was
in
in
movies.
the right
Go
vein.
see
I knew
enough
there was a
titles.
reason I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I don't just
Tom Cruise is going to be one of them.
right. I don't just think of Tom Cruise all the time. Like
So-
I'm not that gay.
So
Like-
wait a minute now. With you being exposed, but at the minimum to COVID,
Right.
Are you cleared to go to Oklahoma tomorrow?
Well, no, that's why I need to go get tested. I need to go to Walgreens for sure to get a test. My son tested yesterday and he tested negative. And I imagine his girlfriend is also going to test because those are the three people that were planning on traveling. But I don't know if I'm going to travel now at all because like this certainly affects us financially, because right now Danica has been the main source of income and she's going to be off work the next at least until Saturday minimum, you know what I mean? So that definitely affects our finances and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll be taking this particular trip, at least not this week like I thought.
You can't do her job for her while she's out. I know if my wife were out, I'd do her job for her because I love her that much.
You don't want Willie
that'd be
being your waitress.
listen on in different jobs or tasks or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that kind of thing. However, like me being a waiter is probably one of the worst fucking ideas possible.
You'd be a waitress. You'd have to wear a short skirt to get
those. Well, no, they don't wear short skirts. They do wear really tight pants, though.
Okay, so you'd have to wear really tight pants and show your breastises. Get your little low-cut shirt.
Right. My wife actually is flabbergasted sometimes by me telling her to put on tighter pants.
Flabbergasted.
And she'll be like, babe, aren't those other pants you got like tighter than that even? And she'll be like, yeah, but I can barely breathe in those. And then I say, yeah, but more tips. You know what I mean? So I mean, wear tight pants, please.
So why not wear assless chaps?
Ooh, if that was allowed, that would.
Willie,
got the booty
likes
for it.
the tits flabbergasting. Flabbergast.
Listen, don't make fun of my vocabulary.
No, we're just impressed that you did that and didn't fall over after you said it.
Because it was so strenuous on me.
Flabbergasted. Flabbergasted.
Oh my god! I got my teeth good and glued in today. All right, no judgment.
You don't think the acid from that soda is going to eat away at that glue?
I mean, it sure does. It sure does. I've noticed it. Monster's real bad. If I'm drinking Monster, I got to reapply the glue for my teeth like very soon after because that Monster just fucking eats it away.
Glue. Take a sip, put some glue.
I played yesterday for a room full of people who were pretty much dead already. They just don't know it. And but they were all drinking Mountain Dew. So it's something to think about, something to consider. Not that I'm tarnishing the brand in any way, but it was somehow keeping dead people alive.
Now, is it the old Mountain Dew with the real sugar, or is it the stuff with the
little baby cans of Mountain Dew? There's not the full cans of Mountain Dew. And the thing is, this one guy had a straw in his little can of Mountain Dew, and he was sucking on it the whole time. A can this big for an hour and 15 minutes that I did a show for, and he never finished it.
You know why? His false tooth fell in the can, and it's stuck in the bottom of the straw.
Whatever.
That could be.
So the topic of the day I kind of alluded to before. Rogan had Elon Musk on yesterday. I caught some of the clips. But that podcast is going to drop today, and it's probably going to break the internet because people want to hear from Musk. But he's claiming that he saved the world. He literally claiming that he saved the world by buying Twitter because it was just a propaganda machine that was ruining everything. It was run by left-wing global elitists that were trying to push their agenda on the whole world. And I'm like, most of the people I know never even have been on Twitter. It's just astonishing that they're both but 11 million people, 12 million people will watch that today. and agree with everything because they can't even argue with Joe Rogan or see any difference. And if Joe says it, it must be true. Just your take on Elon Musk buying Twitter to save the world. Anything?
I mean, I definitely don't think it saved the fucking world or anything. That's a bit of an overstatement, I feel. I
Right.
mean, listen, and like you say, like he kind of didn't he just kind of flip flop what sides were fucking getting their propaganda out? I mean, that's
Right,
what it feels
exactly.
like to me. Like okay, you stopped the left's propaganda and now you're just pushing the fuck out of the rights. And I mean, anybody with a brain knows that this whole two-party system is just super fucked. It's not working, and we need to get rid of it. It's
Right.
it's dumb.
Well, I will say this. I definitely agree that people who used to run Twitter are far left
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
but their agenda wasn't controlling the narrative on Twitter because everybody who was on Twitter could have been left or right, and they were arguing both ways.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of was their agenda because look how fucking combative they are about like they can't have a regular fucking conversation most of the time. Like most of the people
but it
on the
was
left that I deal with, they feel how they feel, they think what they think, and anything you say just doesn't fucking matter.
No doubt about it,
that's
but I'm talking about Twitter. The platform wasn't. They weren't. They weren't the dominant thing. There was still. There
Oh,
were
sure.
many right wingers on Twitter giving it back, and it was
Right.
just it was equal. Now you have the guy who runs the platform with 160 million followers and changed the algorithm that anybody who follows him, their stuff is going to get amplified more. So what you get is basically all one-sided stuff right now.
Right.
But,
That's
yeah.
I don't have Twitter anymore.
But
I got rid of
again,
it.
I don't think Twitter changes anybody's lives. I don't think anybody is changing their minds or changing their perspective because of shit they read on Twitter. I might be wrong. I think you go into Twitter thinking one thing and you come out of Twitter thinking the same exact fucking thing. All you do is get angry about it.
I know. Well, before Twitter, I was from Baltimore, and now I say I'm from Westminster.
See that?
So yeah, so it did change me. No,
Change you big time. But Rogan asked him what Twitter is worth. He said everything. Even though it lost 40, he bought it for $44 billion. It's worth $19 billion today. So what's it worth? Everything. Like the whole world depends on Twitter. It's like
that. Yeah, that's definitely not true. I mean, if Twitter stopped tomorrow, everybody'd be over it in a week.
Nobody I know, nobody my age, even has a Twitter account. None of my friends in my circle of like real touchable friends, not on the internet. Nobody. My wife doesn't. None of my bandmates do. Nobody.
That is what you're mainly concerned about: friends that you can touch. You want to be able to touch your friends,
right? Well, I can't touch you. You're in. First of all, you got COVID. Well,
I don't. I listen. You know what? I can't wait to go get tested either because
I'm gonna tell you now. We know you have COVID because you said flabbergasted.
He must
never in all the years I've known you, I've never heard you say flabbergasted. And all the
listen, I say a lot of different words. I love my vocabulary. Spelling that shit is a whole different thing. There's no way. Like
we're flummoxed by your use of flabbergasted.
Yeah,
flummoxed.
Now April is here. We don't want to keep her waiting because she's nice enough to get up at crack of dawn over there in Las Vegas. But
that's one of her puppets. She actually have a puppet named Crack of Dawn.
Before we bring her in, let's just do this.
Comedians who are funnier than Segura.
That you're a bum, get out of town. We don't even have to pick one out because we have one. We have a comedian funnier than Segura. April Brucker is an American actress, comedian. Who I want to ask her about the use of that word, comedian. and television personality. Her television credits include Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition, Judge Jerry, The Layover, My Strange Addiction Today, Videos After Dark, The Wendy Williams Show, What's My Secret, What Would You Do, and many other network, cable, and international TV shows. I believe she's still doing a residency in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome April Brucker. So,
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Yes, my name is Hi, I'm April Brucker, like it says behind me. And I heard everybody talking about politics and Twitter and stuff. And Twitter's never changed my mind. The only thing Twitter's ever changed my mind about is I need to go outside and like interact with real people.
Right. Exactly. I think that's my position as well. It's like nobody is really gonna change their political views. They don't change any views on anything, whether it's comedy, music, anything. You're not gonna change people's minds on Twitter. All you're gonna do is get in an argument about it. So
yeah, and then you argue with another idiot, and then you get two idiots arguing. And this is somebody who would never say those things to your face. You know, call me old fashioned, but when I went to school, we punched each other. We were little loonies.
Yes.
I don't even know how we survived school. I have two nieces. One is 2, the other's 4. And they're going to school now. Everything's online. They're talking to their little friends online. And I'm like, you know, and their friends are saying stuff on the tablet. And I'm like, if this was my generation, we would have taken that tablet. We'd be throwing them at each other. That's why we're like cave people as adults. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a good thing we didn't have cell phones because they would have been used as a weapon. I remember when I first got my iPhone, I threw one. This CEO was just driving me crazy. And I threw one at her head, and it just missed her head.
Yeah, is this the old cell phone which weighed 8 pounds?
No, the first iPhone. It was
iPhone. Okay.
It was 2008 or something like that. But yeah.
And then these kids, and I hate to like, say anything about anybody being cyberbullied because I was bullied in school, but they're writing stuff about each other on the internet. I'm like, you know what? You want to get that cyberbully? Shut off your phone, go outside, and say, I don't care. They're not going to know what to do. You know, they're saying stuff about me. Well, guess what? Tell them that you don't care. You're ugly. You know, like, I can't even with this generation. This generation is very strange, you know? It's like I want to show them, you know, someday I'm going to be walking my nieces through a museum and I'm going to say, you see what this is? It's round. It's called a ball. Children used to throw it and play.
A stick in dirt could have been entertaining when I was a kid. Now,
marbles.
Yes.
Marbles, or better yet, just a little game of Marco Polo. Anybody play Marco Polo?
Yes. Yeah.
That's how we figure out rotation for our blunts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you do a show last night?
No, I didn't do a show last night. I've been coming off of the crazy 2 weeks, as a matter of fact. And I'm developing a new residency in Las Vegas. And I've been doing actually a lot of online shows for fans. I've been doing a lot of meet and greets. I did a show for a fan. I did a show for a group in West Virginia online. I did another show for a group in New Mexico online. And I did a show for a group in Australia online.
Wow.
So,
interesting.
I went down.
What kind of groups? Like business groups or?
What, baby?
What kind of groups? Business
He's
groups
talking
or?
about like New Mexico he's really interested in. That's why his eyes.
Okay, what kind of groups? It was a group of young filmmakers in New Mexico. It was a group of people that owned an oddity shop in West Virginia. And it was a group of kids in Australia. And it was night. It was night. It was still morning. And so, yeah, they called me from the future. The future apparently isn't so bad.
I know.
Cool.
I love when I talk to Australia. And you know what? The weirdest thing about having guests on from Australia is often their connection is better than the people 5 miles away from me.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, what I love about Australians is they don't, like in America, we sugarcoat everything. They don't care if they hurt your feelings.
Right.
Britain and Australia, they will hurt your feelings.
Well, that's because it's a well-known fact that Aussies have no feelings. They're all
Exactly.
it's a continent. It's a continent of criminals. They have no feelings.
Well, anybody who can box a kangaroo has got my respect.
Well,
Right?
except for the Aborigines. Okay, Aborigines accepted. Other than that, it's the other ones. Yeah.
It's always got to be about race with you, right?
No,
I was waiting for it. Man, I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming.
Not about race. This is not
Knew
about
it was
race.
coming.
This is about skin tone. It has nothing to do with race.
If I
Nothing to do with race.
just can make
So-
this observation, race with you is like Willie's dick with him. I mean, everything comes back to that one subject. It's race, him it's his dick. It's like
No, this was not about race. This was about skin tone. Totally different.
yeah. This is what I deal with.
This is about
Well,
skin.
hello. Oh my gosh, it's Mae Wilson. So what are you fellas doing?
I was waiting for this.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's ready for you.
Yeah, girl.
Honey, bro, it looks like he's better at your job than you are. Okay, maybe. So
Now-
these guys were talking about politics. What do you think of politics? Well, I'm not into political parties. I just like to party.
Yay!
And I see that nice chocolate man at the top right. Hello. Is everything about skin tone with you, May? Well, you know what they say. Once you go black, you never go back.
You know what they say? Once you go dinosaur, you're gonna walk like you're sore.
Oh, I know that for sure. Wow.
Wow. Wow. that
I'm
was-
just gonna
that's-
say before we go any further here, April's puppet is way better than your puppet. I mean, what the hell is that? That's
I made it.
a store-bought puppet. No.
I made actually the head I bought for something else, and the inside was just to hide my hand. It's just a brown glove that I used that I stapled to the top and bottom so that I could make it movable.
Wow.
Well, I got something to say. That is all mouth, just like me. Want to see what I can do?
Wow.
Wow, what that mouth do? That puppet mouth. Holy cow.
These are nice guys. You know, they were talking politics, like Roe versus Wade. What do you think of that? Well, I don't know much about college football. Going to Gus man win.
That puppet's mouth, I have to say, is kind of arousing.
Jesus, fucking Matt. Matt's gonna need to take a break. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
3 minutes? That's a
So there's
long
a lot
time to
of
me.
puppet mouth stuff going on, May. What do you think of that? Well, April, I think that these fellas should know that I'm a girl genius. I can suck them off and give them a hand job at the same time.
That's how I lost my testicle. I ran into a girl who said she could suck a golf ball through a garden hose, and I didn't think she was serious. I was like,
I knew you like
Wow.
a millionaire. Oh,
Wow.
Now, April, I don't know if you remember, we've actually worked together on Comics on Life with Stefan Braxton.
yes.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know if we've worked together. She was working,
right.
and you were just kind of there being unfunny.
Well, that's work for me. That's work. that's what I do.
That is your job.
Yes, I was extraordinary, and April was just there. Okay, because April is a hacky open mic comedian, but I'm a star. May. You would not exist if it was not for me. No. You would not exist if it wasn't for me. No, you can't talk without me in the room. No, April, you can't talk without moi in the room. You see, if it wasn't for moi, these handsome men wouldn't have you on the show, you know, because the one in the lower right did lose his virginity to me. How else do you think you got this fucking duh?
you know, that is the existential question with the ventriloquist. Who is the star, the puppet or the puppeteer? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I like to think that we're both the stars. No,
yeah.
there can only be one star. May. There's no I in team, but there's a me. Isn't
There
that
is a
right,
me.
Todd?
There is a me.
Is she offended? Offended by the word dummy?
Are you offended by the word dummy? I prefer textile American.
Nice. Your technique is great. I do have to say that your technique is great. The fact that you smile while your puppet is speaking is very cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Now, April, how many puppets do you have, and which one is your favorite? And do the other ones know that you have a favorite?
Well, I have 38 children. I love them all. And sometimes May is my favorite when she's not being I heard that. Okay. And, believe it or not, if you want to learn my technique, I wrote a book called "Don't Read My Lips."
Hold on. Let me
Nice.
let me blow you. Let me blow you up there so we can see it better. Hold on a second. There you go.
Yeah, Don't Read My Lips. It's available on Amazon, and it's where I give you all my secrets. Well, I'm on the front cover. You should buy it for that reason alone.
Right.
Very cool.
Now, is there a link to that from April Brucker TV?
Yes, there is. There, like you can buy all my merch on my website. I'm semi-organized like that. I have a little elf helping me out. Shout out to my little elf. You know who you are, because I'm a bit of a Luddite. I'm the one that's good with technology. Now, fellas, you should buy the book because I'm in it. Granted, there might even be a naked photo of me in there. May, that's not how you sell a book. Yes, it is. No,
Yes, it is.
That depends on the demographic, I think.
Yeah.
It could be how you sell a book to some people.
Very cool stuff.
And I have a master's degree. Okay, May, I wrote this book. I have a master's degree. Well, April, a lot of guys masturbate to me, so that's a master's degree. No!
Wow. Imagine that. Now, Will, you brag about your prowess with women. Have you ever had sex with a dummy? Puppet? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, not to my recollection.
In his youth, it was only the dummies that would have sex with.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if some people would say they're all pretty stupid for having sex with me. So I mean, that's, you know.
Now, has she ever faked it?
Have you? Well, I will say you guys seem pretty charming. Anybody would be lucky to have you. Okay, I just want to tell you that. Okay, but we actually, believe it or not, have gotten solicited as a duo for threesomes.
I bet.
Wow.
Wow.
How uncomfortable was that moment? I mean,
it was weird. We were on the road, and we were featuring. And if you know anything about comedy, features get paid like zero.
Right.
You lose money going to the gig. But I was excited about featuring. I was, just out of the gate. So this guy comes up to us, and he looks like Sling Blade. And this is in Omaha, Nebraska, okay? And he says, hey.
It's starting to make more sense.
Yes. So we drive up the road, so we're in Omaha. We're at the club. And so he says, hey, I drove 100 miles just to see you guys. And I was like, thank you. And he says, I'm a big fan. And I said, thank you. And he said, I want to have a threesome with you and May. And so at first I think he's kidding. All right.
You hope he's kidding, right?
I hope. Exactly. So I'm like, okay, and so he says, I'll give you $500. Now, if you've been a feature on the road, you know that you lose money. And I'm like, this 500 could get me home. So he flashes the 500 and he says, I want to take you to my farmhouse up the road.
Yeah, but you might not ever leave there. That's the problem.
I know. But if I did, I'd have a hell of a story. So
right.
I can hear you running now saying, I'll be back for you, May.
Right. Just ditches the fucking doll.
I'm running for help. I'll be back, May.
Yeah, I'll come back for you.
I could see May getting arrested for solicitation in that kind of scenario. Like, and then who's?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was the doll.
It wasn't me. It was a doll, definitely. And then you'd have to bail her out.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, so he's flashing this money. And there's part of me that's thinking, I need this to get home. I have rent, I have bills. But he flashes it. And all I could picture, like you guys said, I might not leave. And I could picture May in a crop circle with her stuffing gone. Because then he said he's finished with me. And so what did you say, May? Well, being the brains of the operation, I looked at him and I said, 500, huh? And he said, yes. And I said, for the both of us? And he said, yes. I said, listen, I'm a specialty act. I do oral, I do anal. It's 1,000 for me, 500 for April. No.
So you made $1,500. That's awesome. That's fucking wonderful.
The dummy now, and you know what? He couldn't pay, so he was on his way. Yeah.
He didn't have Venmo?
Did he have Venmo? No, actually, he barely had a cell phone.
He barely had a farm, really. That was probably his mother's place. His mother's body was probably in the basement of the farmhouse somewhere. Like, I mean, we're talking about Nebraska here, okay? Like,
Yes. And May, what did he say his name was? He said his name was Ed Gein. Ed Gein, yeah.
Oh,
my goodness.
Carl and Jamie are obsessed with Ed Gein. I don't know. And when we had Derek Sheen on the program, it just became the Ed Gein show. They were just wanting to talk about him all the time. I'm not really familiar.
He was a
I don't
very
want-
resourceful serial killer. You know, you kill somebody, maybe they'd make a good lamp, you know?
Recycle, yes. He was
Exactly,
recycled,
recycling,
yes.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
drinking
basic.
2 liters of soda in the morning?
I mean, I'm drinking out of a 2-liter because I don't want to dirty a glass, but yes, I am.
Oh, you could have put it in a Mind Dog cup, you know.
I don't have a Mind Dog cup. I got that white cup that everybody did a poll on. What's in the white cup?
What's in the white cup? And
See,
what was in the white?
This is a white cup because I broke the other white cup and I just put another Mind Dog sticker on it that I made. You know,
That's
you can be resourceful.
You didn't do your thing this morning, by the way.
I'm
What
out
thing?
of things to break.
Oh.
There was
No,
a thing to do?
No, I don't mean the breaking thing. I mean the Mind Dog
Oh.
coffee.
You're right. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, mine's in
Mind
the
Dog
thing.
coffee. I don't always drink coffee, but when I do, I get the shits. Mind
Does-
Dog
now-
coffee.
May, do you drink coffee? Are you a coffee drinker?
Are we coffee drink? I'm a coffee drinker. Are you a coffee drinker? No, straight up cocaine. Duh. But mate, you're not supposed to be talking about drug use, okay? You're supposed to be looking for love. Only girl, money can't buy you love. But mate, love is forever. Well, girl, but money can buy you a house, a boat, and a lot of cocaine. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
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 That's right. See, she would fit in on Sundays, too.
Yeah. Now, April, in your bio, the word comedian with IENNE is in there. I think you're the last female comedian using that. Talk to me about is that an old bio or are you sticking with that word? Because most women now just want to be seen on equal footing, and it's just comedian. It's not comedian.
Well, here's the thing. I know that I'm not a guy, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I can tell that.
And I like the word, and I've always felt like I've been on. You know, if I want to have equal footing with my male peers, I'm not going to argue over letters. I'm going to get on stage and I'm going to show them what I can do.
Right,
And that's where sometimes women in comedy lose the battle. Is they're so busy arguing over the minutia of letters, and they're so busy trying to censor their male counterparts. Where if you don't like what they're saying, clap back. Don't try to censor them. Don't try to cancel people. And so I'm not saying that all women in comedy are like this, but some women in comedy just are fighting the wrong fight. If you want
right, no, I'd agree. That's a great analysis.
If you want your male peers to shut up, be funny. Like
I totally appreciate that. I get it.
Yeah,
but I've
stop
taken some
talking about
abuse
your
for
peers
calling
that
women
nobody
a
cares,
comedian.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have definitely introduced some females as comedian, and they didn't like that at all. And I heard back from them, but I think you're absolutely right about that.
So May, what do you think of that? Well, I think that you're very handsome, and you can call me whatever you want.
All right.
Oh my God, geez,
Right.
May's very forward, I must say.
Yeah.
You're very
April.
forward, May. And May, don't you have to go somewhere? Yes, I gotta go see my sugar daddy. I'll be right back. Mwah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't mind the word comedian. What I do mind though, and this is just as a woman, what I mind is male features that don't want to open for a woman and try to run long and bully me. That stuff has happened, you know. But I think everybody deals with bullies in comedy in their own way too.
Right.
So who was your first coworker? You know, your textile American coworker.
Oh gosh, that was actually Groucho Marx.
Wow. We got Groucho Marx archivist on tomorrow. His official archivist, Steve Stolia, and TD and I are both huge Groucho Marx fans. So interesting there.
Oh,
Um,
I love him. I think we need more Groucho in the world now. We need more Duck Soup. But basically, I grew up without cable, which basically meant that I was destined for a life as a ventriloquist.
you bet your life.
Yes. And
Yeah.
yes, I bet my life. Yes. And
There you
until
go.
I was in middle school and my brother was playing football, and my dad wanted the local sports channel. And if you know anything about my dad, he only wanted one channel, and he was on the phone with the cable company for an hour yelling, "But I only want one channel, Mr. Brooker. You got to get 40. But I only want one." So they're going back and forth. So after an hour, my dad had to get 40 channels, and let me tell you, he's like, "I have to get 40 fucking channels." Like, and if you know my dad, he's real yinzer. Like, he's like 40 fucking channels, like Pittsburgh dad, like behind closed doors. And yeah, don't even ask him about the slip and slide. If you know what I mean. So anyway, long story short, he hated the slip and slide. Long story short, so we get 40 channels, and my dad hates commercials. So after one of my brother's football games, he's changing the channel. He's like, 40 channels of commercials. So there was a special about ventriloquists on, and everybody in my family was trying to talk like a ventriloquist. And it was an Edgar Bergen special. Jack Dunham was on, Ron Lucas was on, and I was the only one that could do it. So that Christmas, I got a Groucho Marx puppet.
Wow.
Oh, that's so cool.
I had a Willie. There was Willie and damn it.
Willie and Lester, right?
Yeah, Willie and Lester. I had the Lester doll.
Now, is that the only black? And coming back to you, it's always about race. Only black ventriloquist that there ever was.
No,
there was
actually,
me in sixth grade.
There were others, and I talk about. As a matter of fact, there was one fella, and I'm gonna find him in here. He was the inspiration for Peyton Place, and he was one of the first guys to have I should know this. I wrote, this is still early. I don't even know it's in my damn book. But anyway, he was the inspiration for Peyton Place.
Wow.
Yeah, and he invented the Hindu rope trick. But he was the first international ventriloquist superstar, and he was black.
Did you say the Hindu rope trick? That's the rope trick where basically levitates. Yep,
that was him.
I thought that was like ancient, like around for thousands of years or something. I maybe made it popular,
well, he's the first one to have done it in school.
Wow.
Or not
Very
school,
cool.
but on. He's the first one to have done it. Yeah.
Evil thinks I'm dressed in a Halloween costume a day late. No, this is actually my regular look, except that
Richard Potter. As a matter of fact, and he toured Europe. He was a black reformer, and actually pre-Civil War, he was a free man. He toured the United States, and which was almost unheard of for a black person pre-Civil War. And I know I'm talking about race now, but
right, yeah. Well, TD, that's all he talks about. He's a one subject guy. So that's interesting. So everybody in your family was interested in ventriloquism. That seems a little.
Just me. And then my sister got a Charlie McCarthy she never really used, because one thing about having kids, especially two girls, is when you give one, you got to give one the other. You got to have more than one. And I saw it with my nieces that are 2 and 4 that were killing each other over a broomstick. But children are the future. But yeah, so she gave my sister one, and the first May Wilson was actually a converted Charlie McCarthy doll. So May's had many incarnations, but yeah, but not everybody in my family was interested in ventriloquism. As a matter of fact, it still weirds my brother out.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Are you familiar with Otto and George?
Yes.
Yeah.
And funny story, and I actually tell it in this book. May Wilson has a last name because of Otto Peterson.
Wow.
They got married?
No. I did a show way back in the day with Otto, and I was very green, and I thought I had a gun on. And you guys are comedians. Have you ever been like I'm the shit. And then you get to a show and you realize, okay, I got a long way to go.
No.
Anyway, no, okay, not you.
No, just
Anyway, I was doing a show, and they said, you know, you should come see Otto. Maybe he'll let you do 5 minutes, and he let me do 5. And of course, Otto was here. I was here. And afterwards, he said, I like what you're doing. And I'm like, you know, like, and so anyway, he says, does May have a last name? I said, why would May need a last name? She's a freaking puppet. He says, she needs a last name. It's going to make her real. And I'm like, okay, sir. I said, what's George's last name? He said, Dudley, like my uncle. Well, anyway, like I said, I only grew up with 3 channels. And one of my favorite cartoons of all time was Dennis the Menace. And the next door neighbor was Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
So May became May Wilson.
Very cool. Otto was extremely shy. See, the reason I even brought him up is you seem very able to engage in conversation. Otto was difficult. He was very. It was hard for him to speak without the puppet in his head. And the puppet.
Well, he had to work to open up to people. I did interview him once, but he had to, like, he could go back and forth with me, I guess, because Otto knew, like, he could talk to me on some level, I suppose. But he was very shy, yes. He had to be comfortable with you. He was almost reclusive at times.
Yeah, and then transformed to. I mean, the puppet was just so. Otto, George, was so over the top, like in your face and extroverted to point of. Like,
George, the stories surrounding George. There were people that would punch George during performances. George, and Otto denied all those stories. I'm like, come on, man, you got to own them. Because
are we locked up?
Is it true that you were the inspiration for magic? He's like, no. I'm like, Otto, just tell everybody you are. You know?
Yeah. He talk about pay and all that kind of stuff. Otto and George used to work club that the guy who was in the very first video, the bullying video I played earlier this morning, he had a club here, and Otto was living in like southern New Jersey, and we had to send somebody to pick him up. Long story short, I mean, basically, a guy would drive to southern Jersey, bring him to Long Island, all for $125, and then he'd have to split it with the driver. It was just he did a lot of years of that kind of just brutal disrespect and just getting paid nothing. It's a hard road. You would think that having, being a novelty act, and I'm sorry if that's an offensive term, but that's you would think that would increase the pay, but for some reason that was it made it even harder for him. Did you have to go the same road and just totally disrespected as far as pay? And
yes. I've been disrespected when it comes to money many times. As a matter of fact, one time I did a gig for somebody and he promised me X, and I get there and he's like, well, this is all I have. And it was one of the worst gigs I've done in my life. And this was somebody who claimed that he was a fan. Note to anybody watching: never work for somebody that claims that they're a fan. Because it's a business. And so I get there, and normally on the road it is MC, maybe a 5-minute guest spot, feature, headliner. Mm-hmm. Well, he books it that okay, it is the MC. Then one guest spot that he lets run for 20 minutes. Another guest spot that he lets run for 20 minutes. The feature who goes on for a fucking hour. And then it's me. And by the time I got up, the people were walking out of the goddamn room.
Right.
And then afterwards, he says to me, I said, how do you think it went? He's like, well, the feature did better than you. I'm like, yeah, because you made the feature the headliner.
Right.
So then the MC basically told him, you need to light people. And he told the MC that he didn't know what he was talking about. These people are from a certain area. They came to see a show. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ on a cracker. So then the next night, I said something to the feature because that's what the MC suggested. He's like, I feel for you. So I said something to the feature, and the feature threw a tantrum because he didn't understand because he had only ever worked with this guy. And he's like, well, blah, blah, this, that. So anyway, the show runs a little better the second night.
Wow.
And so just to mess with me, the booker is so mad that I did this that he throws up 2 guest spots after me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm never coming back here. Fuck this. So anyway, I go to get paid. And he's supposed to give me $500 for the weekend. He only gives me $200. I said, we agreed on $500. Well, I only have $200. And I'm like, you know what? It's $200 well spent if I never have to deal with you again. So, yeah. And so then I made some money off of merch. So then the woman working at the front desk because it was a hotel/comedy club, she said, hey, I heard all about you. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. She said, we had some truckers come in and they said that you were the funniest thing there and that they were glad that they stayed for you because the rest of the show was absolute shit. And I'm like, yes.
Good for you.
And then the trucker said, we have a farm up the road.
Respect is good, but it doesn't pay the bills, though. I mean, it's a gratifying moment that you get that recognition, but it doesn't pay the bills at the end of the day. Because I've been doing some my solo gigs on Sunday have not been as lucrative when I've had bigger crowds that love me, and at the end of the day, the take is not as good as when I've had smaller clubs that actually show me and throw dollars at me and throw 20s and 30s. So I'm to the point where I appreciate that the compliments and all that stuff. Give me money, buy my stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And there was another guy, and this was classic. He calls me, and I'm not going to say his name because it doesn't matter. He goes, Ms. Brooker, I'm such a fan.
Can you spell it out? Can you spell out the name? You don't have to say it, but can you spell it?
The first 3 letters are C-O-N, like con, because this was a big old con. And he says, Ms. Brooker, I'm such a fan. I said, well, thank you. He said, I have a club in Jersey, and this is still when I was living in New York. And I could put you in front of 200 people. I've always wanted to work with you. I've seen you on television, yada, yada, yada. So, he's buttering me up. I said, so how many minutes am I doing and how much are you paying me? Well, about that, I've never actually seen your act in person. So if you come out, I could put you in front of these people. I could give you 5 minutes and I could give you $50 for your trouble.
Well, that's a big fan. Wow. What does a small fan get?
No, I would say, look, screw being a fan. Give me an air conditioner.
Thank you. If he said I was from now on, when somebody calls me and they say, Miss Brooker, I'm an air conditioner. All right.
That's right. That's right. I'm central air. Are you central air or are you just a window unit? I want central air.
No.
If you're just a window unit, it's like if you're just a window unit, you don't have a lot of money. But central air, now we're talking.
That's right.
Okay. Now, Vegas has changed over the years because it used to be just an adult place, but now people bring their kids. Do you ever get people bringing kids to thinking they're going to get a standard ventriloquism show, which you are not? You're an adult ventriloquism
show. Absolutely not. Because these are nightclubs and you have to be 21 and over to get in. But I absolutely hate when people bring their children to places that they're not supposed to be. Like a few years ago, and this is a funny story, I was still back in New York, and I was doing a club with May. And it was a variety night, and it was at 9 o'clock on a weeknight. And you would think children would be in bed because they have to go to school. Well, there was a kid, and I forget this kid's name, but I've never wanted to punch a child more in my life. She was a 13-year-old singing sensation. Okay. Like daddy was pimping her out. So anyway, she's wearing this poodle skirt and she's going to be singing songs from the 50s, and she brings her whole family. So the comics before the show are like, okay, we got to clean up our act. There are kids in the audience. I said, fuck that. These kids need to be in bed. So what I did was some of these comics were really watering their acts down. And it wasn't working. Okay.
Right.
It didn't work. These people didn't appreciate it. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm going bright blue. Okay. I'm going bright blue.
Bright blue.
So I get up and I start and I'm ripping into the crowd and I'm just going brutal. And these parents are taking their kids out of the room, and I perform for kids, but have it be a kid show. This is an adult show.
Right.
This is a club. They're serving alcohol. It's 9 o'clock. Put the little fuckers in bed. So anyway, I'm doing this show, and so anyway, they bring them out of the room. And the mother of the 13-year-old singing sensation, who, by the way, they had her around Connie Francis, who has had more drug and alcohol problems than anybody. That's great parenting right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, and she's on like 20 different meds for bipolar. I think she stabbed one of her husbands. You know, that's a role model if there ever was. So anyway, they're like, we want her banned. We want her banned. And so I get off stage. They're like, the club owner wants to see you. And I'm thinking I'm going to get banned. I'm going to be Otto Peterson of the new age. So I get upstairs and I'm getting ready for the speech. And the club owner goes, so I saw your act. I said, yeah. He said it was pretty dirty. I said, yeah. He goes, let me tell you something. This is an independent show. I said, yeah. He goes, and I hate that little bitch and her family. He said, but I absolutely love what you did. And I think you have a bright future in comedy. And I want to give you a paying spot on a show. I said,
Wow.
yes.
Cool.
He said, you thought you were getting banned, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, do me a favor. Because I hate that little bitch and her family. When you get out of here, could you pretend that I banned you and could you act really upset? I said, sure. So I get out of there and I'm acting upset. And I'm pulling their chain and her family's in the parking lot. And they're like, see, you weren't funny. He was funny. And I'm like, yeah. I got a paying gig.
Now, I have a question for you.
Wait, before you ask your question.
Yeah.
I got to say goodbye to Govs, and neither one of you guys reminded me. Thanks.
I'm so sorry. I was into the story. I was listening to the story.
I know, me too. But we have to say goodbye to Governor's Comedy Clubs today. We'll be back with Govs tomorrow. We are.